Hey, it's Kaz, and I got to tell you, I always give props to people that have tremendous talent. I always bow to people that have a talent that I always wished I had, but I never did. And my friend today is a phenomenal illustrator. His name is Alex Wakefield. He's combined a passion for race car driving and illustrating, which took him to actually the cover of doing the Indianapolis 500, which not everybody does. And Alex, great to see you again, and congratulations on your success.
You too. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this when I was looking at your webpage, which by the way is motorart27.com if you want to see Alex's great stuff. I was thinking back when you're a kid, when you're like one or two, you're scribbling stuff, and mom and dad think that's like the greatest thing, and they put it on the refrigerator. And then maybe a year or two later, you're trying to color within the lines. And then maybe a few years later, if you have any talent, your parents and teachers are supporting you. And I think when I was like 7 or 8, my dad said, he looked at a picture of mine. He said, "How about we throw the ball around a little bit?"
Oh,
Tough crowd in my house, but I have to
oh.
ask, when did you start really knowing that you had this amazing talent of being an illustrator?
Um, I guess I don't know. It was one of the things where I was consistently encouraged, so maybe it was like this perfect storm of love of family, and I had a pretty tough family, but I don't think they're quite as East Coast as yours was. But no, nobody ever like said stop doing that or anything. Honestly, that was really blunt. It's like,
Sure.
these are fun, these are cool. I was like, oh, okay. I was just having fun with it.
Yeah.
And there was really no like wall put up or anything like that. And I was into cars because I could hear the local racetrack. I mean, you were in Burlington for a long time, so you know what, 34 Raceway, and I was living in Middletown, and if the wind is shifted right, you could hear the track on Saturday night. So it was just kind of this whole thing of being around racing culture, and I was drawing what I was having fun being around and seeing.
What was the racing the first love or the drawing, or can you distinguish the two there?
Um, well, I think I say this, it's almost a cliche for me, but it's like, how long you been drawing? I never put the crayons down. I just always liked it. Um, Racing, I always enjoyed. I think one of the first memories of racing I have is probably somewhere in like 84, 85. I remember a little bit of Cale Yarborough winning Daytona in 85 because he had that orange and white Hardee's car. And then a little bit of Rick Mears in '84 winning in the bright Pennzoil car. Vivid colors that are appealing to kids. Remember '85 the 500 when Danny Sullivan spun and won, but they showed it in prime time, and I was 85, 6 years old, so I was getting tired. It was like 9:30 at night, and I couldn't hang on for another 60 laps or whatever after, and I was wanting Mario to win, and my grandma wrote down on a paper plate as because I asked her, I was like, okay, write down the winner on the paper plate, and I woke up and said Danny Sullivan. I was bummed because I wanted Mario, but probably direct answer. It was probably the drawing because I was just doing it, and then it was just another log on the fire that I was interested in the colors and the speed and some of the drivers that seemed really cool to me, and I just kind of one thing led to another and just kind of created a monster, I guess.
One thing is so cool that not only you, I mean, do an amazing job with the automobiles, but the pictures of the stars that you have.
Mm.
Mario Andretti, I'm guessing your all-time fave, is that correct?
All-time favorite racer. That's tough because I like the bike racers too, motorcycle racers.
But I have to say,
Yeah.
you peg these people. I mean, they're spot on. So is it harder for you as an illustrator to do the person or the automobile?
Um, it's probably the person because I know that um you can kind of get away with certain things on a car to kind of fudge. It's like, okay, you don't have to get that intricate like on an Indy car suspension. You've got all these different pieces that make up the suspension. You can kind of fudge it. Expression and those nuances of a person, I think those are tougher to pull off, and that's something that as long as I'm illustrating portraits and faces and that, I'm probably always going to be tweaking it. I doubt Drew Struzan, that does all those wonderful movie posters, stops improving on his work, even though he's kind of pulled back from doing the Hollywood stuff. He's a creative. He's always going to be making something.
Hmm.
So it's adding more things to the toolbox, and trying to make it better or different, but in a better way, I guess, and just telling the story that way. So it's probably the portraiture I find the most challenging, yet the most rewarding too. Because if you can, I still use photographs to work off of, but if I can get that where I go, I kind of give myself the internal fist pump of like, I got them, that's them,
That
and that's really satisfying.
absolutely. Anytime you can pull something off where you're giving yourself that internal fist pump is a good thing.
Yeah.
So you went from illustrating and obviously success, young at a young age. Take us to the journey of getting to that coveted cover to the Indianapolis 500. How did that all start out?
Um, I worked. I was always drawing and painting and illustrating, but for a time I was working on being a graphic designer
Okay.
and went through 3.5, 4 years of school up in at a school in Schaumburg up by Chicago.
Hmm.
Um, Ended up coming back to Iowa for about a year, and I was actually working at the local bike shop at that point, so I was like splitting time between work and passion as in bicycling too. But between that and my artwork, and I got a opportunity to be a graphic designer in Indianapolis at the track. So they have their own creative services department, and I stayed there for 9 months. I learned a lot, but it just wasn't a good fit for me. And I kind of like doing my own thing, and graphic design I still do it a bit on the side, but I don't enjoy it as much as I do just the fine art and the illustration, the painting. And I stayed in touch with some people there, and they were kind of seeing what I was doing. I did something of was working on something for a private commission of Rick Mears when he won his fourth race in '91, his fourth Indy 500 in '91, and they were kind of, this friend of mine, she works in creative services still, and she's like, "Would you like to do something for us?" And this is, see, 2020, so it'd have been like late 2018, I think.
Hmm.
And this is when the Holman George family still owned everything, and it was just kind of business as usual because they'd owned the track since the late 40s. And it's like, yeah, they just weren't sure what the fit was as far as where I could do something for them, because there was something coming up with the answers and they just weren't sure. And then it was crazy because I think she got a hold of me and said, "Do you want to take a crack at the cover for next year on the program?" I was like, "Hell yeah, let's do that." And then not like 2 weeks later, Penske bought the track. I'm going, are you kidding me? So it was a big enough of an honor to even have a shot at doing something
Sure.
for the track and Holman George family and everything. But then I'd always wanted to do something for Penske. Just sometime, didn't matter when, whether it was something for their racing museum in Arizona or I didn't, whatever, the race team. And I go, holy cow, this is great. And I submitted a 2-page spread. So it was basically what they call like a barn door. It's like you got the main thing, and then when you open up the cover, it flips out.
Okay.
So I did those two sheets, and then the president of the Speedway, basically there was two or three selections, including mine. And the president, Doug Bowles, he kind of looked at it and said, "Well, there's only one clear winner here," and he pointed at mine. I'm like, again, Doug Bowles, president of Speedway, this guy's awesome. To have that kind of a nod, that's really cool. And then they said, "Yeah, we love this. We just want to do one more thing," because I was trying to do a timeline of the Holman George family, and that was from, like I said, the late '40s. I said, well, what if we just do basically the full history of the Speedway? So I just added a third panel that wraps around to the back side of
Nice.
the program cover.
That's incredible. Congratulations on that. That's
Yeah.
what a tip of the hat to you. It's amazing. Now you had
Yeah.
mentioned Rick Mears before.
Mhm.
Have you had other people in, race drivers saying, "Hey, this is amazing what you did"? Did they come up to you and get a hold of you that way, like Rick Mears?
Um, it wasn't a commission for Rick Mears. It was just a fan.
Okay.
But he's actually seen the work, and that fan took it to him at an autograph session. She took several pictures of him signing it. Says he was very complimentary, and actually he was sitting next to Ari Lyondike, who was a really big art aficionado. He collects, and at one time he had his own gallery in Indianapolis, selling racing art. And they were both kind of looking at it apparently, and were really really happy and complimentary of the work, which is cool. Have had the opportunity to do some work for Mario, representing him at a dinner in 2014 at Long Beach. Year before that, sports car racing champion Brian Redman. More recently, I've had an opportunity to work with Willie T. Ribbs. I don't know if you've seen his documentary on Netflix. It's called Uppity. It's about his racing,
Okay.
his
I've
whole
heard of
life.
it.
It's
Yeah.
not racing. It's not a racing movie per se. It's about his life and just trying to be a racer and the obstacles he's had to overcome to do that. I depicted him on the illustration too, because he's the first African American driver to qualify for the 500.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's just meeting people like that, whether it's even just like more of a regional sprint car driver, a local short track guy, or whatever. Just anybody who gives a compliment, I appreciate. But it does have a little bit something special to the competitor that says that this is great. So
Very cool. Now,
yeah.
if you go to Alex's site, which is motorart27.com, kind of blew me away too when I was looking at that. You have, I believe, the Queen and David Bowie.
Yeah, yeah, that was
And both, by the way, are awesome. What made
thanks.
you pick those individuals?
That was a fly by night deal, quite literally. I had done a showing of my work over in Singapore in 2016. It was at a Formula One race that they have there. It's called the F1 Night Race, and it was a party that they run the whole weekend. There's a couple different ones, but this particular one's called the Podium Lounge. And the guy who set that up was starting basically like a high end cocktail bar in Singapore, and it was called the Monarchy. And they were going to do, the whole idea was, we're going to have, they're splitting it evenly between 9 British celebrities and 9 monarchs, and they were trying to do like a cheeky little spin on everything. I did Richard the Third that had a Robin Hood hat on his head. So I was kind of doing my own spin on old like paintings of these monarchs. I have one of Winston Churchill where he's doing the 2 fingers, but he's got his top hat bowler, or it wasn't a bowler, but he has top hat on, but I painted a French flag on it. And this is just kind of something, a back and forth that we're doing. So it was input from them, and then hiring me to do that. Some of it wasn't necessarily cheeky. It was just a little bit more straightforward. I did one of George Michael. It was
Okay.
just like an up close, tightly cropped image of him from the Faith video. He just looked like a badass. He's got his shades on. He's got the BSA leather jacket on. I'm like, how about this? And they're like, okay, cool, run with this. That was one of the paintings that sold. So
Awesome.
yeah, so it's just little things like that we were doing to decorate this nightclub, and that's what those 2 paintings were from.
So you've had these tremendous career with racing, obviously with people that you just mentioned there. Is there one person that you've tried to capture and it just doesn't feel right yet?
From that Monarchy series that I was just talking about, I think the Helen Mirren piece that I did, it's close, not to what I would, I have my own high standards. They liked it, but I was still like, and it could have been an angle thing or whatever I was referencing, but it was that would be one. If there's somebody that like I consistently try to illustrate, and it's like I don't need to be drawing that person because for some reason what I'm seeing and what I'm making on the other end isn't connecting.
Okay.
Thankfully, I haven't really had that problem. Most of the time I'm able to get a really good likeness, if not, that dead on, yeah, that's that person. Um, but most of the time I'm able to get the result that I'm trying to get.
So the
A lot
people,
of it's time too, trying to, okay, if this didn't work, tweak and do this and that
sure.
to make it happen.
So for the people that just might be following you today with this interview today, what's in the future for you as far as either racing, illustration, or the people that you had mentioned? What do you have? What do you have in store that people can look for you down the road, Alex?
Sure. Right now it's, with the last year, everything's been so up in the air. If last year was a normal year, I'd have been at an Indy and at least been able to say hi to a couple people and, share the illustration with them. That didn't happen, like
Mhm.
nobody's able to go. It was very strange. So I don't know. It's been kind of just whoever has contacted me for commissions and client work. I've been kind of working that way. Nothing really like a big show or anything like that right now. So there's a couple of things that are up in the air, but it's mostly just staying busy with the work that I've got and kind of
Mhm.
going from there and being open to any opportunities that are available. Honestly,
Awesome. Well, listen, let me give that site again. It's motorart27.com. Alex Wakefield, a phenomenal illustrator. Have to throw it in there too. Hell of a bicycle rider too.
I try. I did La Optuez twice in one weekend, so that was, and I got close to an hour up going up one time. So I figured that's pretty good. Not using EPO.
Hey, great to see you, pal. Have a good day today.
You too, Cos. Thank you very much.
Well.